I did it. We're going to do it. Yes, we are. I got into my button stash. Yes, we're going to use a button in this video because we are going to make a buttoned up bracelet. Yes, that's what we're going to make. And a pair of earrings. If you're new to the channel, I'm Vickie. If you're coming back, thank you for that too. As I said, we are going to make a buttoned up bracelet. Now, what does that mean? Well, we are going to make a button clasp bracelet. Yes, button clasp. You heard that right. It's not the easiest thing to say, but button clasp. And it's going to be a 3-strand bracelet. At least that's what I'm making. You might want to make 1, 2, or 3. And we're going to make a pair of earrings. And we're going to upcycle a necklace to do it. So we got a lot to do here. So let's get started. We are finally going to make a bracelet that involves a button. Yes, a single shank button. That's a shank right here. Yes, and this is the button I chose out of my vintage buttons. And I'm finally going to do it. I'm going to make a piece of jewelry using a button. We're going to make a buttoned up bracelet. Along with the little button, I have a stone beaded necklace that we're going to upcycle, and hopefully I have enough beads here to turn this into the bracelet that I want to make in this video. This is picture jasper. I'll put it on the screen how you spell it, picture jasper. And we have chipstones and round beads and some tube beads and some gold tone beads in between. So hopefully we have enough beads with this. And then I have some 11O, yes, tiny 11O glass seed beads. Some bead stringing wire. This is 49 strand, 0.018. I have some clips and I have 2 tiny gold toned crimp tubes. I wanted crimp beads, but I don't have any gold crimp beads. I only have silver tone or silver plated. So I have 2 tiny little gold tone crimp tubes, but I do recommend crimp beads if you have them. You'll need a ruler and some flat nose pliers. And if we have any beads left over and decide to make a pair of earrings, well, you'll need some round nose pliers. We'll see about that. I'm not really sure. We don't need a whole lot to make this bracelet. The button is something you'll have to go on a hunt for. And this particular button, I'm going to turn it upside down to see, it's about 7/8. Yeah, about 7/8. So keep that in mind. I have 2 pieces of the wire, and I went a little extra long on this. I actually have 24 inches of wire, which is probably too much, but I'm not sure how I'm going to finish the bracelet. I have a couple of ideas in mind. And then you also need a 12-inch piece. So 12 inches and 24 inches. First thing I want to do is take this necklace apart. And the funny thing is it doesn't have a clasp. It has a piece of string right here, but no clasp. So I'm just going to take this apart, put the beads in a bowl, and see what we have to work with. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to play part of the song that I made for you. And of course, I wrote a song for this video, and what do you think I called it? How about Buttoned Up Bracelet? I know, very original. Cue music.
Let's make
a buttoned up bracelet.
Select a shank button,
Gather your beads
your tools and some wire.
and let's proceed.
Upcycle a beaded necklace
If you'd like
and turn it into a bracelet.
to wear any season, day or night.
Yes, this necklace was strung on a few pieces of what looks like embroidery floss. Honestly, that's what it looks like. Let's go ahead and separate these beads and see what we have of each style because, we're going to make a multi-strand bracelet. So I'm going to go ahead and separate these out.
Buttoned up bracelet, a buttoned up beauty, how fun.
Let's make a bracelet
1, 2,
or
3 strands will do.
measure jewelry making wire.
24 inches long.
Cut another piece.
If I need to bring in some more beads, I'm willing to do that because I can see already that there's not a lot here. It looked like a lot in the necklace, but I don't know. We'll see. Just a few of these tube beads, not too many. And then the chip stones and the little gold beads. And then these little gold beads, trying to figure out if they're plastic or metal. I think they're metal, and they're probably usable. I just need to put those in a little bowl. This is all part of what I do when I'm getting set up to get ready. A little bit of prep can go a long way.
Another piece.
Only 12 inches to go along. Buttoned up bracelet, a buttoned up beauty, how fun.
I think I've got them. This is what we have to work with so far, along with the seed beads. And I'm not sure how many of these we'll need yet, but this is what we have. Doesn't look like a lot, does it? As a backup plan, I have some coconut heishi beads. I think this color would go really nice. It has a little abalone shell pendant, but I did pick it up for all the beads. So we have the heishi beads if we need them. So here you go. This is what we have to get started, plus the button. Now you can make your bracelet any way that you like. If you just want to do one strand, do one strand. If you want to do two, do two. I'm going for 3. Yeah, can I pull it off? Maybe. But that's what I'm going to try. And the first thing we need to do is use the wire and the seed beads and make the loop for the button. And I'll show you how. We're going to start with the 24-inch strand of wire. The reason I went so long with this is because, well, I don't know what your wrist size is, and I also don't know if you might like to try a different way of doing this. So I went with 24 inches. I do have some clips here. We're going to put a clip on one end so we don't lose our beads. And I'm going to start with the 11-0 seed beads, glass seed beads, but I did count out some of the beads. And I think I have about 34 here. I'm not really sure. I think that's what I need. I was playing around with this button, and that's where I came up with about 34 beads. You'll also need some 5mm beads, just a couple of 5mm beads. We're starting out with the seed beads. Let's get this centered up here for you. And I'm just going to add the seed beads onto here. Let's count them, even though they're all irregular. So counting them doesn't really mean a whole lot, but that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 31, 32. All right, looks like I have about 32. What's that mean as far as length? I have about just slightly over 2¼ inches of the 11-0 seed beads. Let's drop them down to the center. Bring the ends of the wire together. Let's put a clip on here. We don't want to lose any beads. And you can find these gator clips in my Amazon store. Make sure both wires are secure. Bring the beads down to the center. This is the first thing we need to figure out before we go too far. We've made a loop. By dropping the beads down to the center of the wire, we've made a loop. Now let's see if our button fits through it. I did practice though. I did try. Yes. The button clears the loop without pressing too hard against the beads. If it's snug up against the shank, you have about this much exposed of the seed beads, but you have to have it big enough for that button to fit through. So that's the very first step. So even though I need about 2¼ inches of my seed beads, which are all irregular, as I said, depending on what button you choose to work with, well, you might need a few more or a few less. Okay, just wanted to make that clear. But that's very important to figure that out. Now, we've got the ends together. Let's take the clip off and let's slip both of these wires through a 5mm round bead. Doesn't have to be a gold tone bead, doesn't have to be a metal bead, but you need a bead that's about 5mm, preferably round. So here's our loop, and here's our bead that's going to help secure this loop. But we're not done yet. We are not done with this because, do you recall we also cut a 12-inch piece of wire? Yes, we have a 12-inch. Well, this would be fine if we wanted to do just a 2-strand bracelet. That would be perfectly fine, and you can try one that's just 2-strand. But we are going to make it 3 strands. So how do we do that? Well, first of all, bring these ends back together. And where did I put that little crimp bead? I'm hoping the bead will work. Let's put this tiny little crimp bead, put the 2 wires through that. Okay, 2 wires fit fine. Okay, they do. Pull that all the way down and up to the 5mm bead. By the way, most beads are drilled so that they would be about 2 millimeter inside. Not all, but most. But what about that third strand we talked about? What about that? Here's the wire. We're going to put this through here, through the, if I can, I hope it works. Good. Through the crimp bead and into, let me change hands. We're going to put this wire through the crimp bead and just kind of hide it inside the 5 millimeter bead. So it's just in there a little bit. We don't want it sticking out the other side. We don't. But we're going to hide it in there. Now this is where you need your flat nose pliers or your chain nose pliers. Most of you have flat nose. I'm going to try my chain nose and I'm going to just get a hold of that crimp bead and I'm actually pushing towards the 5 millimeter round bead here and flattening it. Press it a few times. It's good. It's not going anywhere. So now we have 3 strands to work with. Wasn't that cool how we inserted that third strand? Of course, only if you need a third strand. Do I have enough beads from that necklace that I took apart? I don't know. But if you've watched the channel long enough, you know I have quite the bead stash. So I'm sure I'll find something, either a necklace I can upcycle or get into my other bead stash. But I'll come up with something if we need more beads, because it doesn't look like a whole lot. And if you don't have a round bead, well, work with what you have. Same thing with the beads and everything else. Work with what you have. So here's the beginning of our 3-strand beaded bracelet. They're not all exactly the same length anymore because that second 12-inch piece isn't in the loop, so it's a little longer. No worries. I guess I'll be able to tell which one it is. Now, here's the fun part. We are ready to start beading each strand. And I want each one to be slightly different. But I tell you though, I don't think I have enough beads. I really don't. But I have a backup plan. And if you know me, if you follow the channel, you know I'm not going to run out of beads. I'm not. I'll have something I can upcycle. I don't think it matters much which strand. I'm just going to start with the center one, the longest one, I guess, because I don't really know what to start with. And let's go ahead and upcycle these beads. And by the way, for those of you that are concerned, I wipe down the jewelry before I start. So even though you saw me take it apart on camera, I've already cleaned it. Okay, we've got a little round gold tone bead and a round picture jasper bead. I'm just going to say jasper throughout the rest of the video. And then let's add another round bead, then another small tiny bead, and then let's try this 2 bead, little round bead, jasper bead. I'm just going to alternate. How's that? I'm going to see how far it gets me. Just alternating the 2 bead with a round jasper bead. I just realized I don't have the chipstones over here. And I'm only so far along, and I'm already thinking that I have 4 of these left. I have 3 on here, so I have an odd number. It's very different. I tell you what, I'm going to tuck the wire underneath my bead mat. I hope that stays out of my way while I decide here what to do. But I can see that I need to work in something else already. So instead of this whole strand being the same thing, I think I'll start working in some chipstones. I only have so much wire, so I can only go so far with it. And the length, well, I don't know yet. Just depends on how many beads I put on here, and then I'll have to try it around my wrist and see. I've got 3 chipstones. Let's go with 5. I'm winging it here. You know me. I'm designing on the fly. That's what we do here. We play and see what we come up with. So what if I do 5 chipstones, one of these little round beads, go to a round jasper bead, and one of these little round beads. These are like 3 millimeter. And then 5 more chipstones, randomly selecting them. These are really pretty. They look like little landscapes. So when they say picture jasper, well, it fits the little landscapes of the Southwest. Okay, let's add a round bead. Okay, I think I can go back, even though that's only two sections. I almost need to go back to the same pattern here. You would think I would have 3 of these sections, but that's okay. I can work chipstones in another way. So let's go backwards now, and let's work in the 2 bead, alternating with the little round gold tone bead. I found this necklace at the antique mall up in Bristol. I made that video not too long ago about finding secondhand jewelry in an antique mall. In fact, the antique mall, if you missed my live, I shared that the Antique Mall shared my video on their Facebook page. And that was pretty exciting for me. This is another necklace that I picked up when I went up there last time. And that's when I told them I had made a video about the jewelry I bought at their store, and they were all excited about it. Okay, I think, of course, I might be getting too big on this already. I mean, yeah. See, do you see how you have to just experiment with this? This is way too big. The only way I think this could work long like this is if I possibly wanted to braid it. Yeah, I'm giving away my idea a little early, but I thought, what if I did braid this, braid the 3 strands? So I'm going to stop here because who knows, maybe I can braid it, and maybe that's why we need the extra wire, although these are not the same length. Let's just choose another strand, and we'll have to do a slightly different pattern. Let's just pick up one of these little gold beads. Let's just pour these out here. I could work in the seed beads, but I don't know, I'm kind of liking the gold beads while I still have them. So this time, just to let you know, it's going to move all over the place. This time, let's just do as many of these round jasper beads that we can. I'm not going to add the chipstones yet. Just going to alternate here. And I'll play some music while I do it.
Buttoned up bracelet, a buttoned up beauty, how fun.
Add seed beads to the long piece,
Let them drop
to the center.
to make a loop.
Bring the wire together.
Add one more bead,
Make sure your shank button
will fit through the loop before you proceed. Buttoned up bracelet, a buttoned up beauty, how fun.
slip on a crimp bead.
Add the 12.
This is what we have so far. Going to weigh that down over here so it's out of my way. Bring these in a little closer.
Add the 12-inch,
Piece of wire.
slip it through the crimp bead, and the last bead, flatten the crimp bead
Use the tool.
you desire.
Now instead of only 2 strands,
You have 3.
How am I doing compared to this one? Got a ways to go. I'm just going to try to match up the length to here and then decide if I'm going to braid it or leave the strands loose.
Buttoned up bracelet, a buttoned up beauty, how fun.
design each strand.
With your favorite beads,
Mix up the patterns
make each strand of the bracelet
completely.
unique.
That's pretty close. I think I'm going to stop there, add a clip, make sure it's secure so I don't lose the beads. So we have one more strand to go. We've got to figure out what this pattern's going to be. You can tell that I don't have a whole lot of anything left other than the chipstones. I'm not sure if I want to do the whole thing though with chipstones. Do I want to get into this, or do I want to use the seed beads in between the chipstones? I've used the gold, but I'm running out of these. The only place we have the seed beads is going to be in this loop. Really nowhere else. Okay, I'm going to do it. I think this color will blend in nicely. I just don't want all chipstones. That's all I can say. It's where my mind is going. Let's get a bowl to catch these, because I'm sure they're going to be tiny little pieces. Oh yeah, and I could have just undone one. Vickie, what were you thinking? You could have just cut one of these for now. Oh well, too late, too late. I did it. Got ahead of myself. My suggestion to you is to cut only one strand at a time. Uh-oh. But this is why I bought it. It wasn't for the pendant, although it's pretty, but we could possibly upcycle the pendant into something else. I'll tell you what, I'm going to finish this off camera and I'll be right back. I've got beads. As I said, we've got beads. And I've got 2 strands done. We have one more strand to do. It looks like the longest strand didn't end up in the center. That's just how it worked out when I did the crimping. Now I know I don't have enough of these beads, so I'm going to set them aside, and we're going to be working in, I don't have but one of those left too. I'm going to be working in some of these. Although I could be consistent by putting one of these at the beginning and one at the end. I'm not sure how close we will be able to get all of these beads. There might be a little gap here. It looks like there probably will be a slight gap there. It all depends on what size beads you use. All right, let's go with 3 of these. And, well, wait a minute. I'm going to bring these back over here. I decided to bring these back over here and use them just for a little while on each end so that I can make it as narrow as possible on each end. I hope you can see everything here because I know it looks like there's a lot going on. So I have the little round gold tone bead, 3 Heishi beads, gold tone bead. Let's work in the jasper. I'm just going to use these up. I often try to use as many beads and components that I can from the original necklace. The coconut beads are also irregular in length, but we're going to make this work. We are. Jasper bead, and then 3 more of these. I think they're pronounced different ways, but mostly Heishi beads. How do you pronounce it? You can't really tell me, can you? Because I can't hear you. Do you work with these beads? So I have 3 sections here. 3 is good. And then now let's add the jasper chipstones. Let's just put some of these on here. Why not? Eventually we'll find out if this is going to work. You know that I won't give up until it does.
The 3 strands together
And thread all 3
through one bead.
at a crimp bead.
Pull the wires through
The shank of the button,
the single bead.
the back again
Through the crimp,
bead. Flatten the crimp bead.
and behold,
Your 3-strand bracelet is done.
Getting low on the gold beads, Vickie. Don't have the gold beads. I mean, I have my own, but they're a little bit brighter.
Buttoned up bracelet, a buttoned up beauty. How fun.
ready to wear.
Anywhere.
If you're enjoying this video, I sure appreciate a thumbs up, like, and be sure to comment. And if you haven't done so, please subscribe. And do check and see that you are subscribed, because some of you have told me lately that you thought you were subscribed, but you weren't. So check that out and ring that bell icon. There's a little bell so that you can receive notifications every time I upload a video. And watch all the way to the end, because I will show you photos of what we made in this video. And I think I'm going to change my top. I'll show you the bracelet, and then I'll also change. Although it might just go with what I'm wearing. We'll see. Or I'll change. Who knows? But back to the bracelet. Oh, I'm out of these. I really don't want to compare the size. Let's take a look at these side by side. They're a little brighter, a little shinier. I'm keeping this bracelet since it's my first one ever making it like this. So I guess I can get by with mixing it. No one will know but me and, well, you. If you run into me someday, say, Vickie, that bracelet you have on, that little gold bead, is not the same as the others. Yeah, you can call me out on it. How's that? I'll let you. And laugh. That's what I'll do. I'll laugh at it. I might be a perfectionist in many ways, but I'm willing to give myself a break now and then. Because when it's all said and done, there are a few things that are absolutely perfect. That's where I am. I don't think it's as long as the others. It's not far behind, but it's not as long. I have to go all the way back here if I want to redo it. Now that I look at this, compared to this one here, these aren't even centered up across from each other, but if I braid them, does it matter? Goodness sakes, what I want to do here, I obviously wanted to try to make them the same length. I feel like I have to redo this and put in probably a 3rd one of these. In other words, a 3rd round jasper bead in here and shift everything down. And I am going to work in some of my own beads, but I'm going to do it off camera just to save some time for you. I'll be right back. Let's take a look at what we have here. Other than a lot of these beads, let's take a look at what we have. I still have some jasper chipstones left, a few of the rounds, 2 of the metal beads, because I did work in some of my own beads here. And they're pretty close to the same length now. These are not lining up currently. I have 3 of these and only 2 of these. So, that remains to be seen how that's going to work. But I have the 3 strands and I have 3 clips. How do we finish this off? How do we do this? Well, first of all, it's obvious that this bracelet is way too big. Okay, it just is. I mean, if that's the center, it's just gigantic, right? So let's just see. Let's just see what size it comes down to if I braid it. Either way, the finishing is going to be the same. So let's take and braid this one here and braid this one here and here, just like you would braiding your hair. Just braid a little tighter. Let's start over. It's been a while since I braided my hair. Okay, so let's do this one. It seems like it should have been the center, but it's not. All right, left over, right over center, left over center, 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 right over center. It still seems like it got kind of bulky in the center, but I have to tell you, it looks kind of pretty. I don't know if I want to go any more. Left over center, right over center. I don't think so. I think I'm going to stop here. This is what we need to do. We need another one of those 5mm beads. And we need our little tiny crimp bead. It's time to take the clips off of here. And I guess the beads may not be pushed down all the way. Gather the strands and get that crimp bead on here. And get both wires through there. Then get the third wire through there, through the crimp bead. Thank goodness all three fit through that crimp bead. That doesn't work, well then you'll have to get some other crimp beads. Let's take our pliers and tug on each wire. Tighten things up. You know how braiding goes sometimes with bracelets and necklaces. You know, things can come unbraided. But I didn't braid it real tight. I'm going to get a hold of all three wires and push everything down. Make sure everything's pushed down. And I can tell you that I can see that I have some spacing here where one strand is coming up really close to the crimp bead and the other two are not. I don't think it will be seen, but I am going to pull on these though. I'm going to tug on these. That's all I needed to do. Did I say I've never made this before? I've never made it before. I am ready to trim that off. I'm tired of this extra long wire. Trim that off, making sure I keep hold of this. We need to go through 5mm round bead. You know, I still don't know if this is going to fit. Am I getting ahead of myself? Is this still too big even though I braided it? Oh yeah. Aw, what a shame. Still too big. I'm going to back down. I gotta take this off, take the crimp bead off. And I need to back down probably a good inch of beads. So I have something in mind for each of these strands. I don't want to lose my braiding, although I can always braid it again. Let's face it, we can braid it again. We're adults here. We can figure out our braids one more time. I need to take about an inch off. So let's just take it off from here. And let's go down to here. And let's go down to here. And maybe before I braid it, this is a good time anyway to see how long each strand is. It's back on here. If you don't have the patience to play a little bit, well, I don't know what to say. Because to get the size right, you have to play. You just have to play a little bit. What do we have for length? About 9. That's 9 inches. I'm going to take a few more beads off here. Oh, and I missed a bead here anyway on the wrong side, so I'll fix that. Maybe I can come up with a formula here of what you need in length versus what the finished size is. We all wear a different size, different length. I'm going to include the loop. Including the loop, I'm at 8 3/4. I'm going to go with that, 8 3/4, including the loop, loop-de-loop. So I have a small round gold bead on the end of everything. Let's just go ahead and clean all of this up. Let's just take this together. Hold it on around the wrist and see what we've got. I can tell it's still too big for me. It's too big for me. So I need to back off a little more. That's going to throw my pattern off balance a little bit. But, you know, it's a learning curve. If I didn't have a pattern, it would probably be a lot easier. So there's your takeaway. Don't worry about having a pattern. Just string the same pattern the whole length and then you won't run into what I'm running into. Once we braid it, if that's what I can do in the end here, I don't think it's going to matter. I am trying to leave a gold bead at the end of each one. They are not all even. I'm going to put a clip on all three and hold on to that at the same time. I think I might have it. What is that length? Well, funny thing is, it's about 7.5, which I wear a 7. Maybe that's the takeaway. Let's put a clip on each strand, pushing the beads down. Maybe it only needs to be a 1/2 inch longer than your actual wrist size. You know, if I had figured all this out ahead of time, you know, what fun would that be, right? We're learning together because you're going to be going through the same thing that I am going through right now, and that is how many beads, you know, how long. Let's braid this. Let's do it. Left over center, right over center, left over center, right over center, left over center, right over center, left over center, right over center. Let's see where we are with this. Let's bring these 3 strands together. I'm going to get a 4th clip. I think that's going to do it. Once I have this finished, I'll measure it one more time to let you know what it would take for a 7-inch bracelet, 7-inch wrist, and then you can decide from there how you want to adjust. The strands are about a 1/2 inch longer than what my wrist is. Let's pick up that crimp bead, all 3 strands through here. I guess I kind of knew that the length was going to be the biggest thing to figure out. I'm pushing this down, and we're going to add our 5mm bead. All 3 wires need to go through that 5mm bead, not 2, but all 3. I know you're wondering, how are we going to add that button? I hear you right now. How are you going to add that button, Vickie? Don't forget the button. It's not enough to have a loop, or we don't have a buttoned up bracelet. And I can, you know, work with this braid a little bit. My preference would have been to have every strand just a regular pattern and not have the chipstones every so often. In other words, I probably should have just done the whole strand with chipstones. Well, then why don't you do that? Why don't you just do that? I can do it off camera and be right back like that. It took me about 15 minutes off camera to restring some of the beads. One strand I kept just like it was, but I didn't like the look of the chipstones and the pattern that I had created. I had 2 strands of pattern, so I simplified it, and I think it looks a lot better. I'm really happy with it. Glad I took the 15 minutes off camera to do it, saved you a little time. But yeah, let's keep going here. This is what I have. I have just a few small beads, some of the heishi beads and smaller beads on each end, because those are going to, you know, be at the end of the clasp here and here. And then I restrung this one with a pattern that I think I can live with. Okay, I like that. They're not exactly the same length, but they're pretty close. This strand from the end of the loop is just under 8. That one's, yeah, they're all just under 8 inches slightly. I'm not going to worry about that too much. We are going to braid it. So let's braid this once again. The picture jasper chipstones are in the middle. And these can loosen up as they need to be. So let's go ahead and take the clips off and make sure you have a hold of each wire. Let's go through the crimp bead or tube if that's all you have. Oh my, the tube, the crimp tube or the crimp bead. It has to be 2mm. I inserted text at the beginning of the video to alert you to that. But yeah, you cannot run all those strands back through a 1mm crimp bead. Even if I use 1.3 crimp beads, which I do a lot of times, you need a 2mm crimp bead or crimp tube. Whatever you have on hand, go with it. Very important. I might have to put, oh, I got all 3 on there. What do you know? Yes, all 3. Okay, let's go through the 5mm bead. Push that down. Get your pliers. Don't need the clips anymore. Need the button. But push these down. Pull on each string. Each strand of wire, I should say. Pull on each strand of wire so that things are pushed down. Bring them back together. Okay, is this going to fit? Is it going to fit? Let's clip this and check it one more time for your wrist size. Your wrist size is going to be different from mine. And just to give you an idea, from the end of the loop to the end of our braid, right now it's down to about 7 3/4. You just have to experiment. Let's take the 3 ends of the wire, go through the back of the shank of the button, like so. And then we need to get this back through the 5mm round bead. Okay, I'm going to loosen it up for a second, pull it away from the crimp bead. Will I be able to get 6 strands through the crimp bead? No, no, no. No, you cannot get 6 strands at 4/9 wire, which is what I prefer to use, because number one, it's very strong, and two, it bounces back better than thinner wire. 49 strand holds its shape better and recovers better if you bend it a little bit compared to thinner wires. So, no, you cannot get 6 strands through. A 1 millimeter crimp bead or tube, or a 1.3 millimeter crimp bead or tube. Oh no, you need that 2 millimeter. And I think I have one after all. I forgot about my 2 millimeter crimp beads. I work with my 1 millimeter crimp beads so often that I didn't even think about it. I am going to get out a 2 millimeter crimp. That's the solution. It was okay on the first end. I don't want to get these mixed up. It was okay to have the 1 millimeter on the first end, but we need 2 millimeter. I can't even begin to show you the difference in the size of hole, but just trust me, you need a 2 millimeter crimp bead or tube. I don't have a crimp bead. I'm going with the tube. I could only get 5 strands through here at this point, but I have to pull out. I need to pull these out. Easy enough fix. Get a hold of your ends, thread the 2 millimeter crimp bead on, and let's pull the strands again. As I like to say, learn from what doesn't work for me. I do this so I can figure it out and save you some time. I know some of you are thinking, well, why didn't you just make the whole bracelet, Vickie? And no, exactly. Well, because if my new idea turns out just like I want it to, I want to have it on camera. I want to have already videoed it. I don't want to make it twice, even though it might appear that I made this twice. But yeah, I want to record it and record the trials and errors and see how it goes. Okay, I've got 6 strands through there. Push that down. Let's pull on these one more time, just because. See, I can feel them moving a lot. You probably can't tell that, but they're moving a lot. Don't need that crimp bead. Let's go through the shank one more time. It better go easier this time. Let's go through the 5 millimeter bead, which I didn't have any trouble getting through that, even though it is several strands going through here at the same time. Gotta be patient. Got one more strand to get through here. I mean, that is 6 strands going through this 5 millimeter bead, which does have a 2 millimeter hole in it. Most beads have 2 millimeter. Keep that in mind. Okay, so let's just go ahead and straighten out some of these wires. Where'd the other one go? It would be easier if you could get all 3 through at the same time than separately, because as I said, they cross over a little bit inside there. Believe it or not, I'm going to pull that back out. I'm going to straighten up these wires, and I'm going to trim them down to the same length. This wire is pretty stiff, so my wire's a little frayed. Patience, patience, patience. I feel them coming through. Nope, the one is not through. And the wire is starting to fray on the end. That's not a good thing. You do not want fraying at the end. I'm going to have my head under the camera in a second here as I'm just trying to see to get this through. I got it. Woo! I got it. I got it. I got it. I got it. Now I still have to get it through the crimp tube. Just going to try to straighten these up a little bit, even them up a little bit. We still have to get through that crimp tube. Is the 2 millimeter. I mean, some of these have fraying. I'm just concerned about the fraying. It's better to cut one at a time than to try to cut 2. I want nice, clean ends. I'm trying to avoid as much fraying as possible to get these through. Boy, I wish I had even a little more wire to work with. And you saw that I started with far more than I thought I would need, because I had in mind about braiding it. That's why. I need a little more to work with. Patience. It just takes patience. Don't lose that tail. Do not lose that tail. Do you talk to yourself when you make jewelry? Or is it just me? 2 through. 2. 1 more to go. Come on. It's a 2 millimeter. You can handle this. If it went through the round bead, that's 2 millimeter. It can go through here. I need about another inch to work with, so instead of cutting 24 inches of wire, cut 25. I've got them. I've got all three. I do. I have all three. I'm not going to be able to go through any other beads. I just need to get this wire worked through and pulled up through. You see how loose it is here. You see how much wire I need to pull through here. And we need to pull one at a time. I don't want to break the shank of my button. So I'm going to try to pull through each wire one at a time while pushing the button down. If that makes any sense. I can feel it pulling, just like a necklace when you're finishing it off with the crimp bead or crimp tube. It's the same idea. I can feel it moving. You may not be able to tell it's moving, but I can tell it's moving. Stop once in a while and push the crimp tube down. It goes any nails that I have, which I don't really. I can tell that it kind of came unbraided, didn't it? Maybe it's a matter of twisting it now. I didn't expect that. Still pulling through, tightening it up. Again, I don't want to break the shank on my button. I would not be happy about that at all. Since the loop revolves around the size. Okay, I think that's about as good as I'm going to get it. You have to have some movement. You just have to. It's going to be a little bit loose here. I don't know which one is the loosest at this point. I'm not going to press that yet. You can see that my braiding came undone. I didn't expect that, but I guess I can twist it back. This is what's supposed to happen. And then we have our bracelet. We need to cut these wires as close as we can, one at a time. It's one. I find that nail clippers get in pretty close. I don't use the nail clippers for anything else, just my jewelry. Oh my goodness, I've been wrestling with this thing. We've been wrestling with this thing. I don't know. Braid kind of came out, but it looks like I can kind of twist it. And maybe the more I twist it, the tighter it will fit. Let's see if I can get this on. See if we can get the loop. Drum roll, please. Can I do it? Ta-da! I've got the button clasp on the 3-strand bracelet from an upcycled necklace. It is absolutely beautiful. If you start with beautiful stones or beads, you're going to have a beautiful bracelet. I did have to twist it a little bit. Yeah, I'm trying to get the weaving back in there. Don't know what happened, but I accomplished my goal. We have our first ever on this channel buttoned up clasp bracelet. Woohoo! Do we need a pair of earrings to go with this bracelet? Sure, why not? I think I could get by with a pair of gold hoops, but let's take a couple of head pins and add a couple of round beads. Now I got to be careful. I mixed in my gold beads with the ones from the original necklace. So let's see if these match. No, let's go ahead and go with the, I know I can spot them. Mine are a little bit shinier. Let's just add a couple of little round 3mm beads, and let's take and stack. Let's stack some random chip stones. You know how I am with random. Maybe 3 of them. Maybe do a little larger one here. I don't want to get too big on the earrings, but I'm trying to pick out ones that are similar in size slightly, but different shape. And let's go for 3 of those, 3 chip stones. And what about these round beads? We still have some round jasper stones left. You know what? I think I should have put a round bead on the bottom. Round bead on the bottom, then the chip stones. Round bead on top, another little gold bead, one of my shiny ones because they're gold plated. Let's do that. Let's put a round bead on the bottom here. I love all the variation. Putting a smaller chip stone, a larger chip stone. Again, so irregular. That's why they're called chip stones. Let's get another shiny gold bead out of here. I've got one over here. A couple of ear wires. Push the beads down. Because we are making earrings, you need your round nose pliers. Bend that at a right angle. Trim it down to about 3/8 of an inch. Wire is flush. Make a loop. Close the loop. There's our loop. Let's just do this one too. Beads down. Right angle. 3/8 of an inch. Make a loop. Oop, I don't think I was at the very tip of that like I should be. I don't think it was flush, but I can compensate. I can adjust. Chain nose pliers. Let's open up the loop on the ear wire or the earring, whichever you prefer. Open that sideways. Attach the earring. Close it up. Same thing here. I am so excited. I'm so excited to finally figure this out. Even though, as I said, you got to play with the length a little bit. You do. You got to play. That's what we do. We play here. Well, those earrings turned out so darn cute that you could make these in any color of chipstones. I could do a whole video, right, on just making these chipstone earrings. I did have the round beads. I did. They added a lot to it as well, but I thought the earrings turned out pretty cute. Here's our quick chipstone earrings to go with our Picture Jasper chipstone bracelet. And what is the finished length of this bracelet? The finished bracelet is, with the button, 8 3/8. 8 3/8. Let's take a look at what we made in this video. And then, as I said, I will show you the jewelry. And then I'm thinking about, well, I might show it to you with the top I have on. And then I have another top in mind. So let's take a look at that jewelry and keep watching. Oh, and be sure to vote at the end of the video in your comment what you like best, the buttoned up bracelet or the earrings or the set.
Pull the wires through
The shank of the button,
the single bead,
the back again,
through the crimp,
bead, flatten the crimp bead.
and behold,
Your 3-strand bracelet is done. You just made a buttoned up bracelet, a buttoned up beauty. How fun!
ready to wear.
Anywhere.
Here's our bracelet with the button clasp, and I do feel that I need to twist it to get the look that I want and the size that I want. Let me put it on here real quick. It's easier if you just rest your wrist on the table. Okay, I have it on. You could wear the button at the top, especially if you have a very fancy button. You could wear the button at the bottom of your wrist if you want. You could wear the button to the side or wherever you'd like. So you can twist it, not twist it. I don't know why it didn't keep the braid, but it didn't. But twisting it up made it fit well. And the earrings, well, here's the chipstone and little round Picture Jasper earrings. So here's the set. There you go. I am keeping this set, but I still invite you to vote for it. And I think it goes fine with the top I have on. Speaking of the top I have on, do you remember this necklace I made from the haul that I got at the Antique Mall up in Bristol? I did remove some of the extra beads and charms and simplified it a little bit. Some of you might recognize this. Of course, the earrings that I made to go with it too. Should I change my top? Why not? Because I think I have something else that would look really good with it. Just keep watching and I'll be right back. I'm channeling my wild side. Yes, I am. Same necklace, same earrings. Oh, I forgot to change the earrings. Well, maybe I won't. I'll just hold these up for you. But here's the bracelet. A little wild in my shirt here today. Here's the bracelet with the button clasp, which I think looks kind of cool on the top, and the earrings. So there you go. Is this something you would try to do? Would you get out a button? Oh, and I do recommend a metal button. I would not use a plastic button for the clasp because you got to really tug on it, tug on that wire to finish it. And I don't know if a plastic shank would hold up. Go for a metal button. That's my takeaway. I did have fun making it. I can see doing this again with some other buttons and colors. Let me know what you think in your comment. And of course, thanks for watching. I'm Vickie, and I'll see you in the next video. Make sure you're subscribed.
Button, button, who's got the button?
Do you remember that song, Button, Button, Who's Got the Button? Well, I have a song like that for you too. But we need to make something with more buttons in it.
Who's got the button?